For the last 2 days now, Manchester United fans have been talking about the issues with our midfield. Well, in this show this morning, I'm going to explain how Manchester United fix the problem that has definitely been identified within the squad, according to analysis and reports, the timescales and when it can be done and sorted. We're going to go through all the transfer news on top of everything else that's going on around Manchester United. Some important updates coming out from the club around the UAE friendlies mid-season for Manchester United, where an opportunity will arise for Rúben Amorim to rectify this midfield problem, or at least test something out anyway. Going back on what happened against Spurs, it's clear to see when people are talking, and I did a call-in show last night on Forever United TV on Big Up, and people were bringing up good points on there. Manchester United fans talking after that game and isolating the issue around Manchester United's midfield in particular, and Manuel Ugarte. I'm going to bring up a story that came about through speculation around a certain player leaving Aston Villa to go to Manchester United. But before he actually before that news came out, in fact, what could have happened with him before Manchester United bought Manuel Ugarte. It's an interesting story actually on this one, and the fact that Manchester United didn't really show too much interest in him or real interest in him. There were doubts within the football club. We're going to get into that as well. There is updates on Elliot Anderson. There is updates on Angelo Stiller. Obviously, Manchester United midfield targets are all going to be top of the gossip columns. We're going to discuss that to get your live thoughts in this morning as well. And please do, if you are catching up later on, get your thoughts into the comment section as well, please, everybody. And yeah, I mean, it's quite obvious, isn't it? Manchester United's midfield, massive, massive problem. I've watched the Spurs game back. I watched some highlights back last night after the content. I watched some extended highlights, some in-depth analysis. I've looked at a few other people's looks and thoughts on Manchester United. But the one name that kept on coming up again, obviously after Casemiro had left the field, was Manuel Ugarte. And Manchester United's, I think, mistake. And Ineos, I feel, are going to prove that it's a mistake by selling Manuel Ugarte and moving him on in the summer. There are lots of reports going around at the moment that he is completely out of favour and Rúben Amorim is unwilling to use him. He's sparingly using him at the moment. We already heard the conversations apparently that came out when Manchester United's manager was talking to Alejandro Garnacho at the back end of last season, saying that you are not the same player you was. The Premier League is too much for Manuel Ugarte. I think we all know this now. And Rúben Amorim is just not going to play him while Casemiro is fit. The problem we've got is Casemiro is too old. So what do Manchester United do there? The story of Manchester United's pursuit of Amadou Onana is an interesting one. And his agent, who is his sister, coming out with a story through the tabloids about the interest from Manchester United, but they'd already agreed a deal with Aston Villa. Manchester United came in with significant interest in him, but it was too late. And then they went and bought Manuel Ugarte because they couldn't get Amadou Onana. Now, that is a word on one side of the story with this, but it does go to show that Manchester United kind of jumped the gun a little bit with PSG and Manuel Ugarte. It was the carnage and the chaos which was the first Ineos transfer window. Erik ten Hag, will he stay, will he go? The insecurities amongst the staff working for Ineos, the directors of football, people still finding their feet within the club, Ineos' plan. It was a bit chaotic, and now we're seeing two players from that transfer window that really aren't good enough for Rúben Amorim. And I think he's proved it this season with them both being sat on the bench for considerable amounts of times this season. Obviously Xerxes and the man in question today, Manuel Ugarte. Manchester United have also announced, or they're about to announce, according to Samuel Luckhurst, the in-season tour and I always say pre-season when it comes to friendlies, but in-season friendlies, it's hard to get around it because it's so strange. But with United not playing many games, they need to test certain midfield systems out, and I feel like this in-season tour of the UAE, a couple of friendly games they're about to announce, is where Manchester United and Rúben Amorim can test out a new system, can test out a different option in midfield, and that thought to be Sekou Koné and his fast track into Manchester United's first team. We did a live show the other day on Sekou Koné, coming straight back from a 2-month layoff, going right into Manchester United's first team training. The importance of that I think, is that he could have easily just been integrated back in, but the fact that he's come right back into the 21s, that is, come right back into Manchester United first team training, which is rare when you've got a fully fit squad, which Manchester United have got. Yes, Kone is still going to play for the under-21s, and predominantly most of his training is going to be in and amongst the under-21s also, but it wasn't like he'd just been put back in the 21s. He was going to spend a good amount of time in there before he even come back to training again. No, he was straight back in. And I actually held my hands up and said that I probably got that one wrong because I didn't expect that to happen. But that there shows that Manchester United clearly see issues. The rumours and the noises about the transfer window coming up and what could potentially come in for Manchester United are also quite big topics at the moment. And look, no smoke without fire, and the facts and stats don't lie when it comes to players that Rúben Amorim is using right now. He is playing Casemiro into the ground. He's basically... is he overworking him? Should Casemiro be able to play 2 games, 1 game a week? Look, it's only going to get busier with the festive fixtures coming up, but I think Casemiro is definitely on the burnout at the moment. He's not able to last games, being pulled off because he was exhausted pretty much. I don't know if there is any sort of injury issue there with Casemiro. He's gone on international duty, so I would say no. I think just tiredness and fatigue, perhaps. Look, he's not getting any younger, and I think the point has been proved there by Rúben Amorim that he needs another midfielder. That's how I've got to look at it as a fan. When you've got a squad of players there, and a particular player in Ugarte that has been with Rúben Amorim before and worked with Rúben Amorim before, and he's not using him, then I think that there tells you everything you need to know. It tells you that he doesn't rate him. It tells him he can't rely on him. And if you're going to play a 33-year-old Casemiro week in, week out as your main focal points in one of the most quickest and energetic leagues in European football, in an area of the pitch which is crucial for Premier League games, possession and control, if you're going to play Casemiro there ahead of a younger player like Ugarte, who should be at the peak of his powers right now, and then it's telling the board, get me more midfielders, bring me somebody else in. But in the meantime, I think there's even bigger need for Manchester United in that we are still about 7 weeks away from that window opening. So Sekou Koné could actually come in. Look, the friendlies are not going to come this side of the transfer window either. So let's just get that straight and remember that I think these friendlies are going to come in the new year as well. But it is a good chance for Manchester United, if they don't get their targets in January, to test Sekou Koné out perhaps and maybe try something different for Manchester United. Of course, there will be a need to win these games and these friendlies when they get announced, because apparently there is big prize money involved in it as well, and that all goes towards Manchester United and bringing in the right amount of revenue. But also very interesting on top of this with the fixtures and the friendlies coming up in the UAE, that Manchester United will be able to put that through their 2024-25 financial books. So basically, going up to, well, not 22 and 4. So the 25-26 season, obviously their financials, their annual financials have to be in by June 30th. But any money made in these friendlies will go towards that season. So this season, which gives you, well, you could look at it one way or another. You could say that that's United just balancing and making sure they're fully secure. Or could Manchester United be utilising every financial option that they've got right now to maybe perhaps facilitate a transfer in January? You've got to look at it that way as well. I think when you look at the friendlies that are coming up for Manchester United, they're important for, I think, 3 reasons. The financial aspect, which we've just spoken about, and that could help Manchester United in January. The chance to bring in some academy players, try some youth and see if they integrate well. And of course, the fringe players, like Kobbie Mainoo needs game time. If he's not sold in January and Manchester United stand their ground, Kobbie Mainoo is going to be stuck and he's going to need game time. Joshua Zirkzee is going to need game time. Could this warm weather games and training while we're over there doing this help the likes of Benjamin Sesko integrate in, a bit more game time for him, a bit more chance in a less, let's just say, let's just say, well, not toxic atmosphere, but it's a more intense atmosphere than a Premier League game. Will that help him? There's a few different ways that you can look at these friendlies coming up as a good thing for Manchester United. I don't think it's bad. I think it's kind of desperate in a way for United because we're not in Europe. But if Ineos are going to try and find a way of backing Rúben Amorim and finding extra money to do that, then I see why we're actually doing it. I do. I can understand the money side of it and what it could bring for Manchester United. But the bigger problem that we've got right now as a Man United fan base is that we're watching a midfield which is just not capable of competing with what we've got in it. I just don't see Manuel Ugarte being the answer at all. I think he'll be gone in the summer, personally. I've said that before. And I think Manchester United really do want to bring somebody else in this January transfer window. I don't think they can continue through this season and potentially get what they need to get, which is European football, with just Manuel Ugarte. I don't, because he won't use Kobbie Mainoo. I think it was quite clear when he brought him on against Brighton and played him next to Bruno Fernandes that was an absolute disaster class of an idea, and that was always going to fall flat on its face. Conceding 2 goals quite quickly in that game, and then obviously Ugarte had to come on. It just isn't there for Manchester United squad depth-wise, and I think Rúben is going to have to risk something a little bit here. And if January fails, which still could, there's lots of positive noises, which we're going to talk about in a minute, actually, and updates on possible targets. But I still don't feel like Manchester United are going to be able to get their top targets in January. I think it's going to be difficult. What happens with loans, we will see, but Man United's academy might be the only option. And Sekou Koné, again, could be the only man that's capable of stepping in for Manchester United right now. I look, there are other players in there that are slightly younger than Kone, but I think what Manchester United did last summer in bringing him in was for this reason. By the time he's getting to that 19, 20-year-old mark, you've got to be able to sort of bring him into Manchester United's matchday squads. He's got to be able to play, I feel, at that age. Otherwise, it's just never going to happen, because United will end up bringing in more midfielders in the summer. If Kone gets game time this season now and smashes it, then you could actually see Manchester United not having to buy or spend as much on as many midfielders, perhaps, in the summer transfer window. One way or the other, we can't survive with Manuel Ugarte. Kone's going to have to come in at some point. Casemiro can't play 2 games a week. Kobbie Mainoo isn't going to be used next to Bruno Fernandes ever. There is nobody else. And one injury to Casemiro completely destroys the whole season for Manchester United, if you're going off what Rúben Amorim is using right now. So it is vitally important that they utilise what they've got in the academy to see, at least, and then you're going to have to go above and beyond and get somebody in the January transfer window. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, you could be missing out on one of the biggest opportunities we've got with the way that this Premier League season is panning out right now. I said it on Sunday when we did the look ahead, analysing the season as it's gone so far, the opposition, what could potentially be the outcome for Manchester United this season. I was saying it's really just in how the games are going, but in that same conversation, we were talking about January being so important for Manchester United to bring a player in. And I think that's where we're actually at right now. I'm going to get into some of the live comments section and now quickly, first of all, before we move into the transfer side of things and what's been reported, what could potentially happen in January for Manchester United. Big updates coming up there. First of all, Manny with a super chat says, it takes time to clear the Ten Hag effect. The worst manager we've had ever. Time people, as for Casemiro, can play 90 minutes, but it's about succession. He can't play 90 minutes, though, Manny. I think that's been proven in the fact that he gets subbed off every single game. He hasn't got it in him. I know there is systems that he can play it, and he could play 90 minutes, but Rúben's not going to play a 3-man midfield, so you have to work harder. Casemiro can't do that. He cannot do that. So he can't play 90 minutes for Rúben Amorim, I don't think. And I don't think he's finished the game hardly this season. He's been subbed off quite a lot, and I think that's going to happen more and more. The games are getting more and more intense. It's going to be a little bit more, I think the pressure is going to mount more. It all starts to add up. And when you're into your 30s, it's completely different. We should be relying on Manuel Ugarte in his mid-20s. And the fact that we've got that player that we spent 40+ million on, sat there on the bench doing nothing, except coming on and being at fault for so many goals. I mean, I looked at it, and someone did a brilliant bit of analysis on Manuel Ugarte in the video back, and it's been put out on X as well, how he allows Ober to just waltz past him without even laying a finger on him. I remember going back and doing a video. Again, it always reminded me, and I remember I have spoken about this before as well, but when Man United were first linked with Manuel Ugarte, I looked at the stats, and there was a percentage of the amount of times that this man is dribbled past in a game, which really concerned me. It happens all the time. He gets waltzed past. He does not have it in his locker to hold that ground. If that was Casemiro, he's probably sticking a foot out and taking a yellow card for the team as well, or making a foul, or trying to at least run with the player. Manuel Ugarte just allows Ober to just run past him and then just move into a position where he's no use, no ornament at all. It's embarrassing, actually. And then he gets bullied in the box. He's then in the position that keeps Richarlison onside for the second goal. So definitely has a part to play in both of the goals Manchester United conceded this weekend. And absolute car crash of an appearance again for Manuel Ugarte. He is an absolute liability. I'll go all the way back to the start of the season when Manchester United played Arsenal in the opening game. I was sat there and United were playing well. United did play well in that game, even though we lost it. And Manuel Ugarte came on and everything stopped. The whole momentum of the game died, and you knew that United were not going to score. Look, it was difficult to score anyway, even with the starting 11 that was on the pitch. But as soon as Manuel Ugarte entered the fray, he was just so far behind, struggling to keep up with the pace of it. He's not capable of coming on off the bench. I think we made that clear. He struggles to get up with the pace of the game. So that would mean that you would have to start him to give him a chance. But Rúben's not willing to start him because he just doesn't have the same attributes. And with him in the side, well, we've seen the issues. At the last game that he started that I can remember, God, I can't remember. Was it City? I don't know if he did start the game against Brentford as well. I can't honestly remember. I'm not just picking out them games because they're our worst games. But I do think I remember him, and he just doesn't understand the role as the two-man midfield. Now, look, you could say that Manuel Ugarte has played for Rúben Amorim before, but yeah, the intensity of the Portuguese league is nothing compared to the Premier League. I'm sorry, if you are not got a three-man midfield, then the likes of Casemiro and Ugarte are not going to work for 90 minutes continuously for you. Ugarte doesn't have the quality. Casemiro doesn't have the legs. He needs that extra support next to him. So if you're going to go two-man midfield, the only way we survive this season, when you look at it really, until these players completely burn out, is to bring somebody else in. And that has to be from... First of all, I think Manchester United do need to try out Sekou Koné at some point. And I do think that we are going to see Manchester United move in the January transfer window. I think the friendlies over in Saudi Arabia are definitely going to be to finance something potentially happening in the January transfer window. I really do. That's coming up next. Let's get some more thoughts on this. Does anybody think that Manuel Ugarte could actually survive at Manchester United, or is he done? Brazil should not select Casemiro for the World Cup. They can't carry a guy that plays 60 minutes. They got lots of quality midfielders, so don't need him. It's just like England picking Bleeding Henderson for the World Cup squad, isn't it, under Tuchel? Casemiro in that Brazilian squad. Casemiro is idolised over in Brazil. He's an absolute hero for them, and so many players look up to him. So I think they're going to take Casemiro anyway. And I think Ancelotti knows the importance of Casemiro and what he brings, obviously. And I think that's why there's no point in even talking about Casemiro and not featuring in that well. He's going to go. If Casemiro can't play 90 minutes, he should only be a squad player at best. Only having Ugarte as a replacement is a joke. What a club like Manchester United have nothing in midfield is embarrassing, says Andrew. Andrew, well and truly on it. He's coming in strong. Joe says, hi Adam, Ugarte is well below the level. I think he is championship level. Could we get Guimaraes also, mate? Would it be a good punt at Thomas Asante up front from Coventry? Fast 2 from the championship, and it'll be cheap. United are not going to bring anyone in from the Championship, I don't think. I'm pretty certain that won't happen. I don't think they'll drop down that far, because you're looking at someone who needs time to integrate if you're coming from the Championship. And in the middle of a season, definitely not. I don't think that's the right time to buy someone like that. I think it has to be a plug-and-play player, which is going to cost a premium for Manchester United. And that's what we've been discussing before. Sell Ugarte and Dalot and buy one, get one free deal. Probably the only way. Sean says, Adam, is the tour of the UAE or Saudi? Other outlets saying Saudi, hopefully it's the UAE. I've heard UAE, I've heard Saudi. I think UAE is the way it's going. This is what Samuel Luckhurst has reported on this as well. So I think we'll have to wait for the actual announcement, Sean, on it. But yeah, I've heard exactly the same as you, mate, on that one. And it is, I don't know. I don't know if it's a definite yet, but it's going to happen in terms of the friendlies, just to fill the gaps for Manchester United. But where it is, I don't fully think that's been confirmed yet. But I think UAE would be better, yes. I think it would be lucrative for Manchester United. I think they will earn quite a lot of money from it. The reports are around about 10 million quid for Manchester United, which is obviously going to go a long way for bringing a player in, perhaps, potentially as well. Because you think about that, 10 million for this year's finances, you could go out and buy someone and pay him the wages that's necessary with that money. How much Man United have got left in the bank from the summer, I still don't know. But obviously these deals are going to be structured deals as well for Manchester United. I think there is money for United to buy someone big in the January transfer window. I really do think that there is a possibility of it happening. But it is all about how Manchester United structure it. So any extra money coming in is going to be massive for United. I'm not too keen on him surviving at Manchester United, to be honest. He's a massive risk, and now we're bringing him on, and it makes it even more terrifying. That on Manuel Ugarte, I think, from Greg there as well. No confidence in Ugarte. I don't know if anybody is feeling that Ugarte is potentially good enough at all for United. Even if he got a bit of game time, I just don't see the quality in him. And we're now well and truly into his time at United. Second season in, you're expecting a bit more. And if Rúben is picking players off quality and what he sees in training, and Manuel Ugarte is not featuring in these games, then it tells you straight away. And I would go off what Rúben is doing right now. And the only reason I'm talking about Zirkzee, Manu, Ugarte, and these players leaving, it's not because I think they're useless players and I want them gone. I think there are capabilities in each one of these players. Ugarte would fit perfectly into a three-man midfield. I think he'd be fine. But for what Rúben wants, no. I don't see Zirkzee, Ugarte or Manu surviving at this football club. I think they'll all be gone in the summer. I do. Going off what Rúben's doing. Look, if you're going to change the system, then these players might actually work for you. But he's clearly not going to. And we can only accept what is coming. The writing's on the wall, isn't it? It clearly is. Sometimes a leader and an idol is what wins you a World Cup. And for the record, Henderson can't tie Casemiro's boots. I'm just using a comparison in terms of why somebody might be going to a World Cup. And that's always been used with Jordan Henderson. I know you're right. He isn't fit to lace Casemiro's boots on that one. We need players like Roy Keane, rough, physical, commanding, stamina of two horses, pace, etc. No idea who has the qualities in this era of social media, selfies, TikTok dancing, diva player. Yeah, I don't think Elliot Anderson is that type of player. And Florian Plettenberg, again, last night, was talking up the potential transfer of Elliot Anderson to Manchester United. Now, we were talking last night, I think it was Graham on the Calling Show who brought up the fact that Ben Jacobs has said it isn't as impossible as people are making out to try and bring Elliot Anderson to Manchester United this January. We've spoken about it a lot. I could have easily led with the Plettenberg story this morning, but we know that Manchester United are interested in Elliot Anderson. We know that Manchester United have him as one of their top targets. He fits the profile. Rúben Amorim loves him. We've discussed all of that before. That's all been said. What Florian Plettenberg is saying again is on the price side of things. So the previous story, we said Manchester United might test the resolve of Nottingham Forest with a £60 million bid going into January. We all know that's not going to cut it. We don't believe that Elliot Anderson's worth more, of course, but like we've said, Monday football, the current transfer market and the climate in which we live is going to demand a lot more than 60 million. Now, it's gone up to 80 million, but Florian Plettenberg last night tweeted out, Manchester United remain keen on Elliot Anderson and have registered concrete interest. Forest are informed a fee in the region of 100 or 120 million pounds sterling is still being demanded. That's the stance, apparently, according to Plettenberg from Nottingham Forest. It is going to, whether you like it or not, and I'm not saying that this is right, but if you look at the way that the transfer market works, if you look at the way that the Premier League works, ready-made players that are good to go, you're going to have to spend a fortune. You have to spend a fortune. And this is the problem that you've got. January is a big risk for Manchester United because you are going into the budget of what you could be doing in the summer. But I guarantee you Manchester United would be looking at buying Anderson in the summer transfer window. So why not go for him now? The only problem you've got is that you are going to have to slap somewhere in the region, I reckon. I hate to say this because I don't think it's fair value from where the player is, but if United are not in the region of 80 to 100 million going in for Anderson if they wanted him in January, then you're not going to get Anderson, I don't think. And it sounds crazy, doesn't it? It sounds absolutely ludicrous. It is. It's stupid money. And he's not worth that amount of money. No one is. But in the football world, he might just be. For Manchester United, if we got Elliot Anderson, let's just say, and this is just all hypotheticals and this is just putting the idea out there, United spent 100 million on Elliot Anderson in January. The media go into absolute meltdown. The media start slagging Manchester United off. Desperate Manchester United go in for Elliot Anderson, trying to get the Champions League place this season. But if Manchester United actually went out, bought Anderson for that fee, and then qualified for the Champions League, not one person would be batting an eyelid. Not one person would have anything to say about Manchester United's transfer policy at all, because they've bought the right player for Rúben Amorim. Sometimes you have to pay a little bit more. Sometimes you've got to pay the premium to get the right man in place. How many players have Manchester United lost money on because they went out and tried to buy the cheaper player? How many times has this happened? We're talking about Manuel Ugarte here and 40 plus million being spent on a player that we're not using anymore. We're about to sell this player for what? 25, 30 million, maybe 35 at a push in the summer. United on his overall transfer fee are going to lose approximately 10 to 15 million. So straight away, you could always counter the fact that United have gone in for Anderson. And I know it's a risk because you're spending more, but Anderson, we've seen, works in the Premier League at all levels. He's a full international now, holding off the likes of Jude Bellingham in the international setup for England. So if you're competing with him, you're decent. So 15 million lost on a player like Manuel Ugarte that you might go and find cheaper elsewhere in Europe. 15 million more on Elliot Anderson is how I look at it. So where he's probably worth book value, what, 50, 60 million? That's his market value when you go off stats, games played, where he's playing, things like this. That's never realistic and it's never going to be the price that you're going to pay. But you add another 15 million onto that already and you're already into the realms of the 75, pushing onto the 80 million mark. Can Manchester United stretch it even further? Well, look, it doesn't matter how much Manchester United's actual transfer fee is for Elliot Anderson, because all they're going to do is say, well, Elliot Anderson is going to cost us 20 million a season, because that's what a £100 million player will cost Manchester United in PSR financials. A player on a £100 million player on 200 grand a week cost United 20 million. That's been broken down and proven by financial football experts before. Not my words. I'm just going off what they have said. That's what it costs to bring in a £100 million player. And Elliot Anderson probably isn't going to be on 200 grand a week wages either. But just to tell you exactly where that is, United could easily pay that money and stretch them payments out. Yes, Nottingham Forest might try and lower the term to make the payments higher, but still, if you were saying to me that you are getting the perfect midfielder in for, say, 30 million a season for the next 3 to 4 years, I'm still taking that, because he could be at Manchester United for 10 years and be the next best thing. It all comes down to whether the recruitment's right and you know that that player is worth that money. So that's where the football structure takes over, and that's where I would hope now that Manchester United, with what we're doing now with Ineos in situ and the people at the football club, would get this right. I mean, it isn't difficult to recruit and scout and say if Elliot Anderson is good enough. Is he better than Manuel Ugarte? Is he £60 million worth more than Manuel Ugarte? That's how I would look at it. And I'm sorry, he's going to start ahead of Casemiro. So you would say, yeah, he is. He is definitely worth that money. And look, on that side of it, I'm just balancing out the reality and what we all think is fair value. Like, we know that he's not worth it in reality, but fair value in this current climate and transfer window and transfer market these days, Elliot Anderson is a £100 million player. It's sad, isn't it? But that's the way it's going. And I'm only saying that because I think you could get Anderson cheaper in the summer. I really do think you could get him at a better deal in the summer. Another year gone on his contract. There's no real demand. Elliot Anderson would probably push more for a move in the summer because Nottingham Forest are not going to be back in Europe again. Whereas January now, middle of the season, they've got to find a replacement. I think we'll know quite soon. As soon as that transfer window opens in January, we're going to know very, very quickly if Manchester United are interested, because if they are going to tempt Nottingham Forest into selling him, then Forest are going to need time to get a replacement. And obviously, Elliot Anderson would be needing to make a move quite soon in the January transfer window. The longer it drags out, the less chance I see of Anderson moving in January to Man United. But look, I think Forest are willing to sell if United are willing to pump up a fortune for him. That's how it looks to me. We will see how that develops and what comes of it when January opens up anyway. But yes, there are other reports going around as well, which I'm going to bring up in a moment. But I want to get your thoughts on the valuation of Anderson again. I know we've discussed this before, but the need, and when you're watching Manuel Ugarte, would you spend over the odds to bring in the right player? Some people don't actually rate Elliot Anderson as well, which I find crazy. How did we go into this season with the midfield options we have is an absolute joke. This will catch up with us for our European ambitions, says Andrew. ATKO says, I viewed Wharton versus Baleba and they were basic. Wharton has never scored, and Baleba, the odd worldie. Anderson versus Leeds dominated all areas of the game, scored a best player on the pitch. He's got to be brought in January. No midfielder should cost 100 million, in my opinion. Again, that is an opinion. But look, would you be worried about the 100 million fee if he came in and he started smashing it for Manchester United and we ended up getting into the top 4, top 5? Because let's not forget, top 5 this season could be good enough for Champions League again. The way that the way that European places are going with the coalition at the moment, it does look like already. With the way the English clubs are faring in Europe, they could be top 5 again for European places. It could really be an opportunity for Manchester United this season. And look, we can say that there's 4 better teams easier than us if you look at it in reality, but come on. If you're saying top 5 is Champions League places, United are in the mix. And if we need to invest a lot of money to get there, it might just be worth it. Because Elliot Anderson and Bruno Fernandes in your midfield, no disrespect to Casemiro, but then I would actually be happy in bringing Casemiro on here and there at different times. Maybe when you need shoring up, you could put Elliot Anderson and Casemiro next to each other. Does Elliot Anderson actually give us another option besides Bruno Fernandes here? Because Elliot Anderson does create as well. He carries the ball fantastically. His passing range is phenomenal. And he gets up and down that pitch. 6 and an 8 position. Does he cover 2? Is he one of them 2 birds with 1 stone type of players as well? That's what you're getting also in Elliot Anderson, I feel. It's just about whether you think he's worth it and whether you think Manchester United are going to spend that much money. Anderson looks great playing against Latvia. How does he look playing against Spain? No, it's a bit of a far cry, to be honest, mate. There, you're really going up. I'm more concerned about how he plays in the Premier League against the best teams in Europe right now. So I would look at that probably more than the international fold, to be honest. But let's be honest. Which international team right now is really going up against some of the big guns in their main competition? The qualification in international football is absolutely crap. It's boring. It's a non-contest week in, week out, isn't it? It is. And we can't really compare that sort of level of football compared to what he's playing week in, week out normally in the Premier League. I'll tell you what. Let's see how he fares when he comes back from international duty at Anfield, which is Nottingham Forest's next game. That will be a good one to actually see where Elliot Anderson is and how he goes up against Liverpool's midfield. Should be a good competition, that one. The only player I pay 100 million for is Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle. He's never leaving, no, is he? So I think the reality is we have to look elsewhere. I get what you're saying. Bruno is a great player. A double Bruno pivot, a double Bruno pivot would be very, very tasty for Man United. There is no chance of top 5 unless we buy a central midfielder, and I do not see us spending 100 million in January. Anderson, Casemiro, if we bought him, but we all know Bruno won't get dropped. No, probably not, Carl. Probably not, but still. Elliot Anderson and Bruno Fernandes in the midfield still isn't half bad. It isn't, is it? Let's see, 100% mates, and for us as well, I don't think any of these guys are bad, and I'd love any of them. But soon as 100 million is mentioned, they become bad and high risk, don't they? This is the thing. It's all about getting the player in, isn't it? Remember when we was all talking about Bryan Mbeumo being overpriced? Well, I wasn't. I thought it was fair value. And I thought Man United got the deal that they wanted. When people were bitching in the summer, we've just given Brentford what they wanted. In the end, we're going to end up paying 75 million. Well, we're not. And we spent money on a player which has transformed our attack. And we've now got someone we can rely on giving us a 7/8 out of a 10 week in, week out. We didn't have one player in our team last season that could give us that in any position. We've now got a definite in Bryan Mbeumo there for me, and I think if United are going to go out and spend a lot of money again, if it is on the right player, I don't see it being too much of a problem. I really don't. I think Manchester United need to do this. I think United need to take a risk a little bit with the right type of player. Look, if you were spending this amount of money on a player coming from another league, I would say, whoa. Let's steady on a little bit here. That's not going to be worth it in the end because you're just not getting that guarantee. He needs to integrate in. And like Jason Wilcox said in his interviews over the last couple of weeks, Manchester United have just bought players that we know are going to fit in, that are used to the Premier League. Anderson's into his second full season now, still smashing it, being called up to England, and I think he is probably worth it. Quickly on other midfield targets for Manchester United as well. We are still getting stories around Angelo Stiller as well, and this has come from Ekram Kone as well, football transfer expert or supposed transfer expert. Manchester United are evaluating Angelo Stiller as a midfield option. The Stuttgart midfield is high on Rúben Amorim's 6-man shortlist. Manchester United are also tracking the likes of Baleba and Wharton. That story has been brought out simply because Manchester United and someone else, another journalist, has already mentioned what we've been talking about today, which is Elliot Anderson to Manchester United. So that one with Angelo Stiller, like Romano said last night, I don't think Stuttgart are willing to sell him in the January transfer window. He said he can't see a German club selling a midfielder or a player in January. Well, Omar Mamouche went for a pretty decent value last season to Manchester City. So things can happen. If you've got the money and you're willing to spend it, then, and you make it actually impossible for somebody to say no, then you can get what player you want. It just depends if you are willing to spend that amount of money. And I think Manchester United Look, I'm guessing here again at the moment. I think United are willing to go that little bit more for Elliot Anderson. I just don't know if they're going to go into the 100 million bracket for a player. And I don't like when you look at the history of transfer windows, like waiting for the summer transfer window sometimes doesn't always work out. It doesn't mean or guarantee you're going to get the best. It doesn't mean that you're going to get absolute quality compared to what you're getting in January. The only thing that is a definite guarantee in the summer transfer window is the player gets a little bit more time to settle in. He gets the pre-season. It's less frenetic coming in as it would be in January. But then again, you've got somebody in Elliot Anderson who is ready to go, who is used to it. So that is the difference, I think, really. Still, I don't think we'll come in January. I really don't think. I would go with more. I would lean towards Fabrizio Romano's comments more, to be honest. That's what I would say. But hey, look, let's see on that one as well. Well done to. I don't even think we mentioned this the other day, but just wanted to mention it while I've still got it in my head. Well done to Harry and Mass at weekend scoring for Sheffield Wednesday. There's another report come out in the Sun. Manchester United would be more than happy to welcome Harry and Mass back from his loan spell, apparently. That would come from Samuel Luckhurst as well at the Sun. I mean, would you bring Harry and Mass back in on that left-hand side as an option? Do you feel like he's the right type of player for us? If, for instance, well, obviously Ahmad is going, you've lost your right-hand side. You could push Dargu to the right and put Harry and Mass on the left. Look, I mean, it's a bit of a push, isn't it? But for emergency reasons, let's not forget, it's only going to be for a few weeks where you're missing Ahmad. And then what you're going to do with Mass is what I say. Could you just leave a player there at Sheffield Wednesday developing? Look, we've got Mazraoui's out on international duty as well, isn't he, for AFCON, so can't really say that either. But still, you've got Dalot, you've got Dargu. You could potentially, I don't know, there are other options there you could use. You are light on the ground, though. Is it worth, actually, the more I think about it, just having Dargu and Dalot as your only wing-backs for a few weeks in the season could be enough to really derail us. I'd be worried. I am worried, to be honest. Not too sure. Really not too sure about this one. I mean, would you bring Harry and Mass back? Is that an option? Get into the comments section and talk to me, everybody. Is Harry and Mass a player you would bring back from his loan spell as an option for a wing-back, knowing that Ahmad is going to be missing? But then again, could you bring Harry and Mass back before AFCON? No, you couldn't. So it kind of defeats the object, doesn't it? You're basically bringing him back for 2 weeks. Because I'm pretty certain you could only bring a player back in January from their loan spell. That's the callback time. So I don't think United would be able to bring Harry and Mass back. I'm pretty certain that's the case anyway. I'll double check that later. Don't forget, everybody, please pop a like on the video as well. Thank you so much. Just creeping up over 200 now on that. That would be amazing. Again, cheers for all of your participation in the shows. Busy last night as well. Thank you, everybody, for last night's. And again, thank you, everyone who came on to big up with us on the call-in show later. Some great conversations there. It might be the only. It might only be one of the other that we lose for longer term between Ahmad and Brian because they are in the same group. Oh, that is an interesting one. Didn't actually pick up on that, Greg. Well, hopefully, one or the other knocks the other out. Because it'll be the top two going for the round of 16, won't it? So, yeah, I will be keeping my beady eyes on the AFCON tournament, definitely. Amas is still raw, says one. Dallo out, says Gems. Would anyone else bring Amas back in? 100% bring Harry Amas back, says Tomo. Did you see the reports that Amorim thinks Ugarte got comfortable and isn't the player he was at Sporting? Yeah, I talked about that earlier on, mate. That came about the same sort of time when Garnacho was being told to go and find another football club. So yeah, I do remember that one actually. Again, it all shows, doesn't it, that Manchester United desperately need reinforcements in January, or someone needs to come through. We need another midfielder. Could Sekou Koné be that man? Could Sekou Koné be Manchester United's saviour this season? Well, not saviour, but just another option. Someone else to come on and rest up Casemiro. Yeah, you've got Leon there as well, don't forget. Yeah, that's a good point made by Andy. Leon is there. I would say he is just as raw as Amas at the moment. You've got two fighting there for that position through Manchester United's academy, a couple of teenagers. Again, it's worrying, isn't it? Like, if you lose Casemiro, you could have a scenario going into the middle of the season where you've got Ugarte in midfield, you've got Dalot playing, you've got Dalot and Ugarte both playing. You're not confident in any game with them two starting for Manchester United. Neither are good enough to start. And I think Rúben Amorim has made it very clear on that as well. But yeah, look, this conversation will drag on and it will continue. Please do get your comments into the comments section below once the live is finished. I'm going to wrap things up there, everybody. Thank you again, everyone, for being part of the show this morning. Amazing numbers as always. I love you all. You're all absolutely fantastic. Thank you for all of the super chats and everybody just putting comments in, liking the video. They're all free and I love it. Let's grow the community. Make sure that you also hit the subscribe button as well, everyone. And I will see you all later with any updates. I'm still waiting for definites on Sekou. I will be with you when they announce them friendlies as well, just to go over that and where we're definitely playing. But for now, that is us all done this morning, everyone. Thank you so much. I'll see you all later on. Have a fantastic Tuesday. And